I let you vent. Hold up. Now's my time to get my side off. Lie for you, cry for you. That's how I got my pride off. You scream, you for the streets. But who got who paid that ride off? Help you chase your dreams. Just watch your mind just slide off. Throwing dirt. Like I ain't dig through my trauma for you. Like I ain't ghost a couple bitches out of honor for you. Was your shield in war? Now I'm just a problem for you. Talking spicy on the net, but got no comma for you. Throwing shots, I caught them. Pain made me patient. You needed something real. I gave you that foundation. But you wanted attention. I see the rotation. Talking like I ain't the real reason for the elevation.
All right, y'all. That was your girl, DJ Mystique, along with, oh my God, I forgot the young lady who did the vocals. Don't worry though, I'm gonna give her props. Hold on. I'm gonna tell y'all everybody that was on the song. Here we go. So, Corian Booker, R&B singer, and extraordinaire engineer, and then Bars. That was me and Bars. The first one was me on a remix to Supersonic by JJ Fad. All right. So first of all, y'all need to cut on this air. It is hot. I've been gone all day. Um, I had to go to an event. I was on my bike today, y'all. I've been riding all week, trying to get ready for these events. Tired of getting passed up on these trophies because I'm coming out not on ground, but it's okay. It's okay. We're going to get it together. Rome was not built in one day. So, y'all keep working with your girl. We're going to be all right. We're not out here acting like we super riders. You know what I'm saying? Even though I've been riding for a while, I don't ride like I should. So, but it's okay. That's going to change. Mark my words. All right, now that we got this air on, y'all, I'm sweating. It's hot as hell. Bro, it's hot. Ugh. I be trying to remember to cut the air on when I'm not here, but I'm going to pay that bill. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Consistency is not my friend, y'all. But I'm trying to get back in full effect. Woo. With all the stuff that I be having going on, y'all, it'd be so hard to do Thursdays, and I be wanting to be in these streets. So, before we get started, let's do this moment of silence for all of our loved ones, especially our loved ones on them tools. Y'all be safe out there. These folks don't be respecting us. So, all right, I got 15 phones. and can't get none of them right. Let me see. Let me see if I can. I don't think I can. Yeah, I don't think so. Hmm. Oh, maybe I can do this. Nope, that wasn't good either. All right, let's go back. Hmm. Okay, I gotta play around a little bit. I'm used to being in the back where I got all my monitors set up, but I'm not back there right now. So I'm gonna have to work with it. All right, let's get into these events, y'all. Hold on 1 minute. Do y'all be looking for stuff and then get distracted of what y'all be seeing on the internet? I've seen two lovely ladies, thick as all outdoors, but they look like midgets. Ain't nothing wrong with midgets. They just, I don't know, just shot me because they look like midgets. I don't know if it's the angle or what or what they had going on, but yeah. All right. Everybody want to twerk. Ooh, okay. Y'all, my little attention span is the size of a gnat. All right. So I'm about to go on DT Nephew page. Shout out to DT Nephew. DT Nephew be having all the events cracking. Shout out to the East Bay Dragons. They was popping this weekend. I did not go. I had intentions on going, but I did not go. All right. So let's get into it. Hey y'all. I'm streaming. Hey DJ Collective. Make sure y'all follow all the DJs. All right. Coming up. Okay, let's get into tonight, right now. What's cracking right now? Right now. Right now, right now. All right. Right now, Wolfpack is High Desert. High Desert Wolfpack is cracking tonight. Make sure you pull up on them folks. Um, Undisputed should be cracking tonight. I have not talked to them to see if they was open tonight. Everybody just chilling after coming back from Oakland. I get it. Tomorrow is High Desert Deuces. I also think that tonight is I'm sorry, Rare Breed. I have to confirm with them, but I know for a fact it's Wolfpack tonight and should be Undisputed tonight. I know for a fact tomorrow is Deuces. High Desert Deuces. Let's see what we got correct. So Divided Time is doing a black and white affair. Oh, I don't know. Okay, that's October 25th. All right, right now we just dealing with the September events. So let's see. Today is the 4th. Let's see what we got cracking this weekend. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep these in order. I know for a fact, i.e., down the pound is the 12th and the 13th. I know for a fact Vegas. Hold on, I'm about to tell you right now. Y'all, forgive me. Oh look, let me see. What we post? That was last month. All right, hello. No, I'm in. Oh, there we go. I know for a fact Las Vegas Gentlemen is the same week as IE Down the Pound. September 12th and the 13th, 2025. They saved the date. So if you in Vegas, make sure you check out them Las Vegas gentlemen. If you out here in IE, make sure you messing with the IE downtown. Let me see who else. Who else? I'm scrolling. September 21st. Come fly with the LWA Airlines. LWA Compton, LA Deuces, y'all. Get them tickets. It's Ladies with Attitude at the LA Deuces. All right. I like they ticket. They ticket is fly. Make sure y'all check them out. Let me see who else. Looking for them flyers. Y'all make sure y'all check these people out. Okay, we done went through the first week, well, the second week of September and the third week of September. Who else? I see Solid MC, September 11th and the 13th. Where they at? All right. That's in San Diego. So y'all got three events that y'all can choose from. You got IE down the panel. You got Las Vegas gentlemen. And now you got Solid MC. Their 16th anniversary in San Diego. Get up with them folks. If you can't go, the least you can do is buy a ticket. It don't cost that much. Come on now. Support these folks. Ooh, we going to hell. We got some draws on for that one. All right. So that's September, y'all. Now, some other things we got going on. Oh, woo, child, these events. Okay, the next event is Brothers of the Sun, LA. All right. That's September 20th. They got a live performance by T Star, Goldie Gold, and Free. Ooh, vendors available. It's Friday meet and greet, September 19th, and Saturday, September 20th is the annual. Oh man. Who else? Okay, tonight is also Hub City Riders Bike Night. All right, make sure y'all check them out. And again, shout out to DT Nephew. He be keeping us up on what's cracking. All right, let me see. Another event, annual picnic. We might be able to pull up for that. September 13th, Hub City Riders and Iron Hogs. That ought to be fun, y'all. All right. Are we done with September events yet? Oh, that would have been cool. Okay. I wish I would have known about that. All right, y'all. I think we are done with September events. At the end of the month, car wash. Okay. At the end of the month, I'll put out the October events. All right. So now we talked about what's happening tonight. We talked about what's happening tomorrow. Sunday nights, y'all can either mess with the Buffaloes or y'all can go up the hill and mess with Desert Brothers, or you can go to Long Beach and hang out with Ghetto Life on a Sunday night. On a Monday night, not sure. Tuesday nights, IE Regulators. Wednesday nights, if you're in LA, Soul Brothers. If you're in the IE, Black Knights. If you're up the hill, bro, I'm so sorry. I just had a brain freeze. If you're up the hill, second to none. Okay? All right. We done went through all the days of the week. And then if you're in Hemet, we got some stuff going on down here. Um, Stay ready and hold on. Give me a minute, y'all. I listen. I already gave y'all a disclaimer. I got the attention span of a gnat. Give me a second. All right, here we go. All right, so Stay Ready and Hustle Baby Syndicate presents Sunday, Monday, Thursday night football. Monday and Thursday, 5 p.m. to 10. Sundays, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. They were supposed to be doing it tonight. However, I had some stuff that I had to do. I had to bounce. So I was going to come back at 8, but they gave me the night off. So woo-woo for me. We will be still supporting our brothers on Thursday nights, y'all. So we just have to straggle it out. Okay, what else is going on? What else is going on? I think I've covered everything. So now let's get into this conversation about where is the president? Let's go. All right. I say he hide now. Now, where is the president? Some people think that, oh wow, I would never. I don't know, bro. I think it's clickbait. Let's see. Folks is talking about what the heck? Folks is talking about he's no longer with us. I doubt it. If that was the case, we would, as much as folks don't like Trump, we would know where he is. If he's in the hospital, if he's in the ground. So let's see. Is Donald Trump still alive? Yeah, everybody want to know. So this was 14 hours ago. Here we go.
Something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No. People didn't see it for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. You know, I have heard it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, and I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own, pretty nearby.
He had to throw that in there at the club that I own.
No, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff. Well, it's fake news. You know, it's just it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility. I knew they were saying, like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, you know, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day. I had heard that, but I didn't hear it to that extent. Go ahead, Peter.
Hold on, y'all. Let me give it a minute. I'm sending this to somebody that literally just hit me like, Trump ain't alive. Yes, the man is, bro. Like, give him a break. Like, dude. Anyway.
President Trump was not seen much by the public over the Labor Day weekend, prompting some speculation about his health. Paul Spade checks one of the viral social media rumors for PolitiFact.
Did President Trump suspend his schedule for the Labor Day weekend? Well, that's what some people are saying on social media. Take a look. The past few hours, speculation has spread suggesting that something extremely serious may have happened to President Donald Trump. It all began when the president's official schedule was suddenly suspended without any convincing explanation, sparking doubts about his true state of health. Let's set aside the talk about Trump's health for a moment and focus on the heart of this claim. That person said speculation started after the president's schedule was suddenly suspended, but that's not true. Take a look at Trump's activities over the last week. He had lunch with Vice President Vance. He had an intelligence briefing on Thursday. He had an interview with the Daily Caller on Friday, and then he had no public appearances over the weekend. He hung out at his golf course before announcing on Tuesday that he was moving Space Command headquarters from Colorado to Alabama. Now, the White House typically sends the president's schedule out to the media one day in advance, and last week there wasn't any change in that practice. So ultimately, it's fair to say he had a light schedule over the weekend, but it wasn't suspended. There wasn't any change, and that's why the Truth Meter rates this rumor false. Read more about the president's activities at WRAL.com.
Y'all, they play too much. So first of all, let's get into it, y'all. So I have
find out over the weekend that you were dead.
I'm going to start with Donald Trump, because until this afternoon, he had been basically absent from the public eye since last Tuesday, which was his longest stretch away from cameras since becoming president. And that absence, and you may have seen this over the weekend if you looked at any social media platform, prompted quite a wave of online speculation about the president's health and well-being. So today, when he reemerged from his absence for an event in the Oval Office, even my buddy Peter Doocy from Fox News couldn't resist asking about it.
Something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that? No. People didn't see it for a couple of days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise. Really? I didn't see that.
He said, really?
Really? I didn't see that, he said. Now,
That's funny.
as I mentioned, Trump's prolonged absence from the public eye sparked pretty widespread rumors. You probably saw them. But somehow, the guy who is famously online at very odd hours and totally obsessed with his own self-image says he didn't see any of it. Let's see what else he had to say.
Maybe
about
he
it
didn't care, bro. Jeez.
Really? I didn't see that. You know, I have heard it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. No, I heard that. I get reports.
Now, that isn't even an accurate summary of his own appearances in public, but that aside, 2 seconds into his answer, Trump says he had no idea there were rumors of his death. But 30 seconds later, in that same rambling answer, he says he did know about it. And then he wasn't even done. He kept going. He kept explaining.
No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own pretty nearby on the Potomac River. And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff.
I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff.
Okay.
Now, just to be clear, we went in just a very quick span there. We went from Trump saying he hadn't heard about the rumors of his death to Trump saying he did hear about them from reports to then back to Trump saying he hadn't heard anything about any of it in the span of approximately 60 seconds in the Oval Office today. You really can't make this stuff up sometimes.
Okay, y'all. So now there it goes.
We will follow court or
He is not gone. Some of y'all might be happy about it, some not too much. At the end of the day, the controversy surrounding Trump right now is people are calling for protests in Chicago. This is going to piss some people off. Personally, I feel some type of way because and I got people, I got family members that are undocumented, and I feel for them. But at the end of the day, if you're here illegally and you have been told 2 years ago to get your citizenship or you're going to be sent back, what can you say? You know what I'm saying? What really can you say? And I've had this conversation with many people. Okay, some for, some against undocumented immigrants being sent back. But the argument is that a lot of undocumented immigrants have come here to work so that they can feed their family. Well, guess what? I got a lot of homies in jail that have been picked up and they was trying to feed their families. Nobody cared about it. So if we're going to protest to allow people to stay here illegally, then why not free the homies? We got political figures that have went to jail, right? For what they said was illegal activity, right? Hell. So let me go to this. There was a let me see. There is a community activist currently, and I want to show you guys the clips. Let me see. I don't think I can show you though. Let me see. I don't want to keep messing with the live. So I'm going to just leave it alone. But hopefully next week I can be on my other computer where I can show you guys the clips. All right. So let's go. Give me 1 minute. So anyway, this person had a lot to say about Trump sending troops to Chicago. The funniest thing is a person to tell you what they're going to do before they do it. Did you not believe him? He said he was going to send troops to Chicago and to where else? What did he say? He said Chicago. I want to say he said Detroit, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he said Detroit or not. But hold on, let's get into it. And I'll be covering different topics, guys. Tonight, it just happened to be on the conspiracy of where's Trump. Trump sending National Guard to Chicago. And I definitely believe he's going to send them here. There we go. Where activists, oh my God, bro. Here we go. Activists against Trump. Okay. Is it this guy? Let's try this. I want to hear this. Oh my gosh. There we go. Oh, you see a commercial, bro? That wasn't what I was looking for. All right, I'm going to just read it. Some Chicago aldermen are stressing the need for a stronger law enforcement presence and federal partnership as the city deals with crime. Oh, that's funny because they want you to think that people are against Trump sending the National Guard. President Trump has hinted that there could be a federal surge in the city, which could include National Guard troops and immigration authorities. As Democratic leaders like Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker rail against the possibility, however, others have had a more nuanced take as they want more support, but not to the extent of sending in the guard. 100% need help, 100% want help. I just don't want to see 18 and 19-year-old kids on the streets of Chicago with M16s. I believe that's a recipe for disaster. So my preference would be money to hire more police, of course. Alderman Nichols Sposato told Fox News Channel's America Reports on Wednesday, Sposato is only one of two independents on the city council, as 48 out of 50 are Democrats. But the president and the governor need to talk and figure something out, he added. The other independent on the board, Alderman Anthony Napolitano, told Fox Business Network's The Bottom Line, there's a gang problem in the city. It's hypocrisy because our politicians here are always putting politics and agenda over people in the city of Chicago. Napolitano, a former local police officer, said Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez, a Democrat, also raised concerns about crime in the city while talking to Fox News Channel's Fox Report on Sunday. I think a federal surge would, in fact, be helpful. Even though we see our statistics are trending in the right direction, who would argue against making them trend even further, even lower, meaning less victims on the street, he said. It's absolutely asinine to me to hear my Democratic colleagues say that we don't want more help, he added, noting that the city has typically welcomed help from federal agencies like the FBI and ATF. Meanwhile, Washington, D.C. has seen a sharp decrease in various crimes since the federal takeover last month. Although many Democrats have criticized the decision to have troops patrolling the streets, the presence of additional law enforcement won the praise of Mayor Muriel Bowser, a Democrat who was originally critical of the policy. For carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents an 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C. Bowser said in a news conference last week, we know that when carjackings go down, when use of guns go down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason. As for Johnson, he recently signed an executive order heavily limiting local law enforcement's ability to cooperate with federal authorities amid a possible surge. We will protect our Constitution, we will protect our city, and we will protect our people, Johnson said at a recent news conference. We do not want to see tanks in our streets. We do not want to see families ripped apart. We do not want grandmothers thrown into the back of unmarked vans. We don't want to see homeless Chicagoans harassed or disappeared by federal agents. Why? Everything I just heard. I'm going to leave it alone. Utterly ridiculous. We don't want we do not want to see tanks in our streets. We do not want to see families ripped apart. We do not want grandmothers thrown into the back of unmarked vans. We don't want to see homeless Chicagoans harassed or disappeared by the federal agents. Yeah, okay. All right, let's get into Congressman against Trump sending National Guard to Chicago. I don't know what y'all think. Here we go. I am trying to find lawyers and veterans speak out against Trump. Veterans? Let me hear this.
Good morning. My name is Andy Thayer, spelled A-N-D-Y, last name T as in Tom, H-A-Y-E-R. I am a longtime activist here in Chicago and very pleased to have with us both of the National Lawyers Guild, Chicago Chapter, Military Task Force, as well as, of course, About Face Veterans Against the War. Before I introduce our other speakers, I'd like to make a few comments. First of all, to the National Guard's people who may be coming here to Chicago, we know that most of you do not want to be here. We know that you are regular working class folks, most of whom signed up for the Guard so that you can help people in national emergencies such as floods, such as fires, and so forth. And we recognize and we respect that. We also know that a lot of you sign up because, like many working class families, you need to have money for tuition. You need to have money for health care to support your families. We also know that probably the vast majority of you not only don't want to be here, but think it's an utter waste of time, that probably well over $1 million a day would be spent on any deployment. And that's not counting the money spent and lost by individuals as well as businesses. So we have a message to you that is, if you are given illegal orders, you are under no obligation to follow them. Moreover, you should disobey those illegal orders. That is both your right and your duty, not only under the U.S. Constitution, but also under international law. And our About Face and our NLG folks will be speaking more to them.
So not only are we supporting undocumented immigrants, we're telling the National Guard not to do their job to protect people that are here illegally. Now, I'm right. For those that are riding dirty, right? Does that mean that we get a free pass? Right? We get a free pass? That means we do anything illegal, we get a free pass? They not gonna stop us, frisk us, arrest us? Like, it's just so hypocritical, y'all.
Second, but before I turn over the microphone, I'd also like to make a message to my fellow Chicagoans. And that is this: it is your constitutional right to be out here in the streets to express your outrage about this possible military invasion. It is your right that if you do not exercise it, you will lose it. It's like a muscle. If you do not exercise your rights, you lose them. My other message to my fellow Chicagoans is that you should reach out to the individual Guards people. If you run into them on the streets, strike up a conversation with them. Say some of the things I just said a few moments ago, that they probably don't want to be here. That is.
Let me stop you again. This is the hypocrisy. Now, they said Trump was inciting riots when he did a speech. Hold on. Let's pull up his speech. Trump's speech before the Capitol riot. All right, let's see. This was in 2021. Now, this person says, go to the National Guard.
You wouldn't know it, though, if you just looked at the live pictures. You still have pro-Trump groups and mobs in the streets, standoff with police. We are also learning that today's insurrection has turned deadly. A woman was pronounced dead at a hospital after apparently being shot on Capitol grounds. Amidst this, And at this hour, we can now confirm the entire DC National Guard has been activated, and they're going to be joined by the Virginia State Police and Maryland troopers, as well as up to 500 members of the National Guard of the state of Maryland. The images that we all saw today in front of our eyes were unbelievable. It's not something anybody ever expected to see in the United States. Anarchists breaking the glass of the United States Capitol, breaking in, then entering. It is the first time that the U.S. Capitol has been breached since the British attacked and burned the building in August of 14 during the War of 1812. And then inside an armed standoff. This image I found breathtaking when I saw it on the door of the floor of the House. This image in the United States, guns drawn, pointed at the door of the People's House. And a protester on the Senate floor, where just hours earlier, Vice President Mike Pence was sitting while the Senate was in the midst of counting the electoral votes. And now we have just learned, and in a significant development here, Congress not going home for the night after all of this, after all the evacuations and the fear. They are coming back. They are set to resume that count next hour. And then this image. Trump supporter breaking into House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office, feet in her desk, kicking back, leaving that note, "We will not back down." Now, this violence was sparked by the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, who rallied that crowd earlier today.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
And they listened to their leader. They marched on the Capitol. They stormed it.
Okay.
They broke in. And
So now let's go back on this side.
They are being used as pawns by this president. They're being used as pawns, and you have not only a right but a duty to disobey illegal orders. My other message to my fellow Chicagoans is this. At 5 p.m. on whatever day the Guard and ICE deploy en masse here to the city of Chicago, come out right here to Federal Plaza at 5 p.m. that day. I repeat, on the day that the Guard deploys to Illinois, come out here on Federal Plaza, Adams and Dearborn, at 5 p.m. and peacefully exercise your constitutional rights. It's not only your right, but your duty to stand up for these rights and to support those Guards people who do the right thing by not following illegal orders. If the invasion happens after 3 p.m., then the assembly here at Federal Plaza at 5 p.m. will happen on the day after. 5 p.m. day of, if it's before 3 p.m., 5 p.m. the next day, Federal Plaza, if it's after 3 p.m. And with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Aaron Hughes of About Face, Veterans Against the War.
Thank you, Andy. I'm actually just going to read a short statement to begin, and then I'll be coming back to give my own statement. Artie Walker Pedicola she is the board chair of About Face Veterans Against the War. She helped organize this gathering. She was in a car accident yesterday. She is with her family. She is healing, and she sends her wishes that she wished she could be here with us. And she sent us a short statement. Quote, given that the governor assertion, this Artie is a U.S. Army veteran, Given that the governor assertion that this deployment is illegal and unconstitutional, the governor should support all those who refuse to deploy and every resistance effort by National Guard service members, everything on the spectrum of resistance. And the governor needs to legally protect and support them in doing so, end quote. And with that, I'm going to introduce Daniel.
My name is Daniel Lackemacher, DanielLakemecher. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran who was in from 2005 to 2009, and I'm a member of About Face Veterans Against the War since 2009. I have messages for 3 audiences today: the National Guard and all military members, Governor Pritzker of Illinois, and our community here across Chicagoland throughout the state of Illinois. First, to the National Guard and to all military members, you are not alone. I deployed to work in the prisons in Guantanamo Bay in 2007. Returning to my permanent duty station after that deployment, I came back knowing something was very, very wrong. I came back questioning my own role and complicity, and questioning my duty in how I must respond after the things that I participated in. Through that process, I learned about conscientious objection, and that there is a way within the Department of Defense and each branch's military regulations to object to your participation in the military in the present moment in which you live. It is not an easy path, and it's definitely not the only option that you have, but it is one of a number of rights that you have as a National Guards person, as a member of the military, whether active or reserve. Your chain of command or others in your community, friends, family, likely don't know the ins and outs of the conscientious objection process, what qualifies and what doesn't. Many people mistake conscientious objection as an opposition to all wars ever. That is not true. As a member of the military or guard, conscientious objection is to your participation in this present moment in war. I quickly discovered through that process of filing for conscientious objection that I was not alone, that there were both civilian supporters with decades of experience and expert knowledge of military law and regulations. And I also discovered that there is a community of resistors called, at that time, Iraq Veterans Against the War, and now the same organization with the name About Face Veterans Against the War. I joined About Face Veterans Against the War while I was on active duty as a sailor in 2009. I also was later discharged in 2009 honorably as a conscientious objector.
Yeah, okay.
I don't say honorably to highlight that I am somehow any more honorable than people who have resisted and faced all sorts of prosecutions. I say it so that you know that is a possibility. It is not guaranteed, but conscientious objection is one path that you...
Okay, so hold on. What happens if military members... Now, I already know this answer. I'm just sharing this with y'all. Okay? Hey, y'all. Disobey a lawful order. So he telling y'all he got an honorable discharge, right, for disobeying a lawful order. What was the purpose of you going into the military in the first place? Because when I joined the military, I knew I was going to go fight wars, right? I knew chances were something was going to go down and they was going to send me. So I'm going to sign up, get their money, and then be like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going. Like, oh, get up out of here. I need to look this dude up because I find it odd that he joined the military, found out he had to fight, and then decided I'm going to disobey a lawful order and got an honorable discharge. They usually don't happen like that. Hey, y'all. Disobey a lawful order. Here we go. If a military member disobeys a lawful order, they face disciplinary action under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, called the UCMJ, which can include a reprimand, Article 15 action, non-judicial punishment, a court-martial, forfeiture of pay, confinement, or discharge. So, while they going up to the to the National Guard talking about, I know you don't want to be here. I know you don't want to be here. If they disobey that lawful order, for people that are undocumented and here illegally, a lot of them, that's what it means, right? They can go to they can face non-judicial punishment, meaning that they don't have to go to court. All this can be handled right through the military. They call it let me go back in my mind. Let me think. When you go in front of a DRD, okay? That's your chief, your captain, your first classes, whatever your branch of service is, you going in front of the people that you work for. So in y'all terms, it would be you going in front of your supervisor, your district manager, their manager, the executive officer, the owner of the company. You going in front of all of them. Like you're not going to court, baby. You're going in front of them. And they dictate, according to your record, what they think should happen to you. Okay. A court-martial, forfeiture of pay, confinement, or discharge, such as a bad conduct or dishonorable discharge. What is this man talking about? What is this man talking about? I'm going to rewind it back and let y'all hear this man tell us he went into the military in 2021 and got out. Let me repeat that because I think it's cap, baby. I just took it back just a little bit. The severity of the consequences depends on the nature of the order and the specific circumstances. However, he is not my complexion. So it's possible that this man that is not of my complexion did all this stuff and found a loophole, okay, and was able to get out. I doubt it though. All right. Depends on the nature of the order and the specific circumstances of the violation, but it is a serious offense that undermines military discipline and mission success. The consequences of disobeying a lawful order. Disobeying a lawful order is a violation of the UCMJ, which serves as the legal code for the U.S. Armed Forces. The potential repercussions can vary, but often include non-judicial punishment, Article 15. This is a form of administrative punishment for minor offenses, which can include a reprimand, forfeiture of pay, restriction, or extra duty, court-martial. For more serious offenses, or if non-judicial punishment is sufficient, a service member can face a court-martial, a formal military trial, confinement. That means you're going to jail. Penalties can include jail time, with maximums depending on the article under which the service member is charged. Forfeiture of pay. The individual pay and allowances may be withheld. Discharge. Consequences can range from a bad conduct discharge to a dishonorable discharge, which can have long-term effects on their civilian life. Adverse evaluations. A negative evaluation report may be filed, which can hinder career progression. When an order is unlawful, is it a duty to disobey an unlawful order? An order is generally considered unlawful if it is contrary to the Constitution, U.S. laws, or for any other reason beyond the authority of the issuing officer. In situations where a service member refuses an order they believe to be unlawful, the determination of this lawfulness is a matter of law to be decided by a military judge. So that means you cannot decide what's lawful and what's unlawful. Let me see. Let me open the screen up. Bro. Oh, let me try that. Okay. Why disobeying orders is serious. The military hierarchy and chain of command are essential for operational effectiveness, efficiency, and the safety of personnel. Disobeying orders can jeopardize missions, undermine command authority and coordination, which is critical for mission success, endanger lives, create confusion or inaction, potentially leading to harm to military personnel, erode discipline, weakens the structure and authority necessary for a cohesive and effective fighting force. There you go. So these people want you to go to jail, want you to get kicked out the military because they are supporting people that are here illegally.
First, to the National Guard and to all military members, you are not alone. I deployed to work in the prisons in Guantanamo Bay in 2007.
Hey,
Returning to my permanent duty station after that deployment, I came back knowing something was very, very wrong.
Okay, so let me give y'all a quick little recap. All right, this is the topic. First, people were saying that Donald Trump was dead, right? They believed that because they hadn't seen him in over a week, that he possibly was no longer with us. I said, there's no way he's no longer here. This man just sent the National Guard to Chicago. He gonna stick around to see that. So here we go. And these are the people protesting because they don't want Trump to send the National Guard there to minimize the crime that we know have been going on in Chicago for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. But their defense is, well, we don't want him here because we think it's illegal because he's here to arrest and deport people that are here illegally.
Questioning my own role and complicity, and questioning my duty in how I must respond after the things that I participated in. Through that process, I learned about conscientious objection, and that there is a way within the Department of Defense and each branch's military regulations to object to your participation in the military in the present moment in which you live. It is not an easy path, and it's definitely not the only option that you have, but it is one of a number of rights that you have as a National Guards person, as a member of the military, whether active or reserve. Your chain of command or others in your community, friends, family likely don't know the ins and outs of the conscientious objection process, what qualifies and what doesn't. Many people mistake conscientious objection as an opposition to all wars ever. That is not true. As a member of the military or guard, conscientious objection is to your participation in this present moment in war. I quickly discovered through that process of filing for conscientious objection that I was not alone, that there were both civilian supporters with decades of experience and expert knowledge of military law and regulations. And I also discovered that there is a community of resistors called, at that time, Iraq Veterans Against the War, and now the same organization with the name About Face Veterans Against the War. I joined About Face Veterans Against the War while I was on active duty as a sailor in 2009. I also was later discharged in 2009 honorably as a conscientious objector.
I don't believe that.
I don't say honorably to highlight that I am somehow any more honorable than people who have resisted and faced all sorts of prosecutions. I say it so that you know that is a possibility. It is not guaranteed, but conscientious objection is one path that you most definitely will not have to travel alone. CO, conscientious objection, is only one option. And at About Face Veterans Against the War, we know it is not enough. It is not enough for this present moment.
That is why we are emphasizing the need for all of us to come together and demand a right to refuse. A right to refuse so that every member of the military has the right to refuse their participation in any operation that they believe is unjust or immoral. So that they don't. Again, to return to this message to the Guard and military members, you are not alone. You're not alone in thinking that this isn't what you signed up for. You are not alone in questioning whether it's moral, just, right, or in this case, even legal to follow these orders. And perhaps most importantly, you will not be alone in refusing orders that violate your conscience. And in this case, you will not be alone in refusing orders that your commander-in-chief, the commander-in-chief of the Illinois National Guard, has called these orders unprecedented, unwarranted, illegal, and unconstitutional. Your commander-in-chief has called these orders illegal. And so now I shift my focus to Governor Pritzker. Governor Pritzker, you made that statement as commander-in-chief of the Illinois National Guard, calling these orders illegal. Back up your words with actions by directing the Illinois National Guard not to report, to refuse these orders. You have so much more power than just words and tweets. Use the resources of the state to support at the individual level any Guards person that refuses. You have an opportunity in this moment, Governor Pritzker, to make Illinois a sanctuary state for any member of the military that is refusing orders that you're calling illegal. Make this state a safe haven for not only the Illinois National Guard, but any other member of the military who refuses to deploy against civilians domestically in our cities. Lastly, I have a message for our local communities here in Chicago and across the state. The National Guard in Illinois, they're not only from here, they live in our neighborhoods. They are members of our community. Reach out to them. Encourage them as the neighbors, family, and friends that they are to you to do what is right. It doesn't matter ultimately what is legally decided. We each have to live with the decisions we make according to our conscience. Support them in knowing that they will not be alone. Tell them that they have a duty to refuse this attempted invasion of our communities. And that is a duty that you share as a civilian as well. We have with us today cards, palm cards, that you can hand out to military members, to Guard members. On one side, they have a QR code that will take military members to an encrypted link, a more secure way of getting in touch with us at About Face. We can then connect you to the Military Law Task Force of the National Lawyers Guild. We can provide community support as veterans and other fellow members who are still on active duty and in the Guard, who are members of About Face. Share these. On the flip side of the card is a link for civilian supporters and allies to be able to get involved in this work to ensure that all military members have the right to refuse. Thank you.
I'm going to jail for you. I'm not getting my pay doc.
It's a little scary being up here. A little intimidating. My name is Aaron Hughes, AARONHUGHES. I served in the Illinois Army National Guard from 2000 to 2006. I was deployed to Iraq and Kuwait 2003-2004. I have a number of points I'd like to make. The first one, number one, to military members, to members of the National Guard, you are not alone. If you are questioning your orders, if you have concerns about your orders, you are not alone. You have options. You have rights. You have the right and the duty to refuse illegal orders. You have the right to apply for conscientious objection. Contact the Military Law Task Force for support. Their number is 619-463-2369. Contact the GI Rights Hotline for support, 877-497-4487. Contact About Face, Veterans Against the War. You can use the secure link, bit.ly, Mill Rights, MILRIGHTS. I know how alone you might feel, but many of us has been there before, and we want you to know that we will stand with you. 2, last week, Governor Pritzker said the deployment of troops to Chicago was illegal and unconstitutional. Just recently, as today, the courts ruled that the deployment of troops in LA was illegal and violated federal law. This has ramifications for service members, for the people actually in uniform on the ground. I feel like we have forgotten about them in this back and forth spectacle. And this is about reminding us about them. According to the UCMJ, you have a duty to refuse illegal orders. That is the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It is important to note that just following orders is not a defense. That is not a defense, and service members should know that. We haven't been telling them that, and we haven't been showing up to support them.
My issue is
with Pritzker's legal assertion.
We're going to be illegal
and the court's
to protect
assertion.
illegals.
Where does that leave service members? It leaves them with the obligation and the right to refuse. I was so dismayed when Governor Newsom, he said, these orders to deploy my troops is illegal, and he sued the Trump administration. But he didn't countermand the order. He didn't say, for you on the ground, if you know this is illegal, I will support you if you do not comply with those illegal orders. We have to do better here in Illinois. Governor Pritzker has to do better. He has to show up for these National Guard members. They cannot be left alone. We as a community need to let them know that they are not alone, that we will stand with them in doing and exercising their rights and refusing these illegal, immoral, unjust orders. And we must go beyond that. Because in the end, it's not just about what's legal and illegal. It's about what's right. And deploying troops to oppress people here or abroad is wrong. And we have an obligation to stand up and support those service members that know that speak out about that, and resist. And that's what we're calling on our fellow Chicagoans, our community members in Illinois to do, is support the spectrum of resistance. Support service members standing up and speaking their truth. It's important to remember for all those activists out there that the Trump administration is enacting a counterinsurgency war on the people. He's enacting a war on workers, a war on migrants, a war on veterans and dismantling the VA, a war on education, and we need to support all forms of resistance. It's important to remember that those that are targeted by these actions, those communities that are targeted, are the same communities that are recruited into the military. I joined the Illinois Army National Guard right here at the Kedzie Armory, right here in Chicago. I served with the 1244 Transportation National Guard.
You
I
served
joined talking to Sergeant
not even
Love,
a year,
my
bro.
recruiter, about sandbagging the Mississippi River. That was in 2000. The floods had just happened in the 90s. And I wanted to serve. Instead of sandbagging the Mississippi River, I was deployed to Kuwait and Iraq.
What did you think?
In a war that was based on lies. In a war that you can't find anyone that would say it was a legal and righteous effort at this point.
I did my job.
But I still live with the ramifications of that deployment.
And we almost got shot down.
And so do the other service members that were deployed.
I was at camp.
And that's why we're saying
you
don't need to go through that. I want to harken back to Aaron Watada, the first officer who refused to deploy to Iraq because it was illegal, because he said the war in Iraq was illegal. And what he said was, he spoke out to the crowd and he said, I speak with you about a radical idea. It is one born from the very concept of the American soldier or service member. It became instrumental in ending the Vietnam War, but it has long since been forgotten. The idea is this: to stop an illegal, unjust war, to stop an illegal, unjust deployment. The soldiers and service members can choose to stop fighting it. But if we want soldiers to choose the right but difficult, lonely at times, path, they must know beyond a shadow of a doubt they will be supported, that we as a community will support them. He went on to say, those wearing uniforms must know beyond a shadow of a doubt that by refusing immoral and illegal orders, they will be supported by the people, not with mere words, but actions. That's what we're calling out here for today. We're asking Chicagoans to stand with us. We're asking the state to stand with us, to stand with these service members that don't have the legal resources of the governor. They don't have all of those privileges of the governor, but they have us, and let's make sure they know that.
But you're not gonna pay their bills.
Spell your name and use Brent.
Okay, cheers.
One second. Okay.
They tell people
My name is Brad Thompson.
Away.
That's THOMSON. I'm an attorney at People's Law Office here in Chicago, and I'm a member of the Military Law Task Force for the National Lawyers Guild. We're here today because Trump's threat to deploy troops to the streets of Chicago will have severe consequences. It will have devastating consequences on the everyday lives of Chicagoans. It will have political consequences. It will have moral consequences. And it will have serious legal consequences. Service members signed up to uphold the Constitution. Service members did not sign up to become pawns for a president trying to score political points against the opposing party. And service members did not enlist to become an occupying army in their own backyard. Every single service member took an oath to support and defend the Constitution. and every service member took an oath to obey orders. Yet that oath to obey orders only applies to lawful orders. When a service member is given an illegal order, when a service member is given an order that violates federal law, that violates the Constitution, that violates international law, whenever a service member is given an illegal order, they have the right, and in some circumstances, the duty to refuse that order. The right to refuse unlawful orders is enshrined under U.S. military law. The right to refuse unjust, unlawful orders is built into international law. And the right to refuse unjust, illegal orders is at the bedrock of human rights law. The U.S. Constitution does not provide for military dictatorship. The people of Chicago do not want a military dictatorship. And service members following their conscience and following the law will play a critical role in resisting military dictatorship here in Chicago and here in this country. And any service members out there who are responding to this moment and recognizing that this is not what you signed up for, this is not what you believe in, this is not lawful, justified actions of your enlistment, of your signing up to the military. We encourage you to contact the military law task force.
This is what's going on. Oh, you bounced. Okay. This is what's going on for everybody. These people, I'm sorry, y'all. It's frozen, so it keeps spinning. I don't know why it keeps spinning. I'm thinking it's because it's frozen. Anyway, these people are telling the National Guard troops not to deploy to Chicago, even though it's been ordered for them to do so. My issue is, one, they're telling them not to deploy because they are supporting people that are here undocumented that knew 2 years ago that they were going to have to leave, right? And I had someone say to me, well, this guy paid, this is just somebody else in general. This person paid for 2 of their kids to go to college, right? So we're talking $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for his kids to go to school, right? Why didn't you take $2,000, $3,000 every couple of months, put it aside so that you could pay for your citizenship, right? You buying houses, cars, paying off college educations, knowing that you're here illegally. But yet we got people that are going to jail for selling drugs, right? That's illegal. What's the difference? Help me understand. What's the difference? Is they're both illegal. They're both here trying to provide for their families. So that means everybody that has gone to jail for something illegal, let them out because they were just trying to feed their family.
To contact the GI Rights Hotline, to contact About Face Veterans Against the War. There's resources out there, and there's people who will support you. And there's a critical role for attorneys to stand up and have the courage to defend people that are resisting against this military dictatorship. That means defending service members that act on their conscience. That means defending civilians who may take to the streets and resist against this unjust, unlawful federal invasion. So we call on all people to stand up and resist this unlawful, unjust invasion of the city of Chicago. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joey Mogul, Joeymogul. I'm an attorney here in Chicago, and I've litigated civil rights and criminal defense cases on behalf of individuals injured and traumatized by law enforcement officials for over 25 years. I'm here to discuss the legal basis with respect to invoking military troops and National Guard units in Chicago. There is no legal, factual, or moral justification for President Trump to deploy any military troops or National Guard units here in Chicago. There's absolutely no basis whatsoever. As Governor Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson have forcefully expressed, such a deployment of troops is unnecessary, unconstitutional, illegal, and immoral. A bedrock principle embodied in the U.S. Constitution and U.S. law prohibits federal armed forces, including federalized National Guard units, from engaging in civilian law enforcement activities. That means policing. That means arrests, searches, detentions. Specifically, the Posse Comitatus Act, a federal law, prohibits the military and other armed forces from engaging in actions that exert compulsory powers over civilians. There are very limited circumstances in which President Trump can invoke and federalize the National Guard units over a governor's consent. And here our governor absolutely is not consenting. Those circumstances embodied in the Insurrection Act, a federal law, do not exist here. We are not witnessing, we are not experiencing any insurrections, rebellions, or domestic violence that prevents the enforcement or execution of laws here in the city of Chicago or the state of Illinois. There is no justification for the invocation of the Insurrection Act. The other way that President Trump could invoke the National Guard is to use the statute 10 U.S.C. 12406, and that is used to repel an invasion or rebellion that prevents the execution of the law. This was the provision that President Trump and his administration used to invoke California's National Guard. As you may know, this morning, District Court Judge Charles Breyer of the Northern District of California found that the use of troops in California violated the Posse Comitatus Act. The court also enjoined Secretary of Defense and the Department of Defense from deploying, ordering, instructing, training, or using the National Guard currently deployed in California and any military troops to execute the laws, including, but not limited to, engaging in arrests, apprehensions, searches, seizures, security patrols, traffic control, crowd control, riot control, evidence collection, interrogation, or acting as informants. The decision by the federal court in California strongly corroborates what Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson have said, which is the deployment of National Guard units here in Chicago is illegal, unwarranted, and unconstitutional. We should not be putting our military troops and our National Guard units in this position. They should not be put in a position where they are enforcing illegal orders that are against our civilian population. That is not what is supposed to happen here in the United States. It's a bedrock principle of constitutional law. With that, I sincerely hope that this does not occur and that we do not put our military troops and our National Guard units in this unconscionable position. Thank you.
Okay, and now I'm going to ask all of our speakers to come up, answer your questions. One thing that I just, come on up here, everyone, please. You can shoot questions to whomever you want. Just one word to Governor Pritzker. File all the lawsuits that you want. The fact is, this president has shown over and over again he treats them like lousy pieces of paper. My friends behind me here have just outlined very concrete steps that Governor Pritzker can and must take right now. Lawsuits are pieces of paper to this clown in the White House. We need firmer action out of you, Governor Pritzker. With that, we'll take your questions. Sorry. Go for it, Daniel. Yeah.
You asked for support from Governor Pritzker. What specifically do you mean? Are you talking about financial support?
First, to make clear, as Commander-in-Chief, speaking directly to those who are under his command, not to report if he is declaring these orders illegal. So that is one more thing specifically in word. Indeed, to then support with the massive legal team that he has as governor to support the individuals that do then refuse the orders, to do more than file a lawsuit in federal court, to actually support the individuals who comprise the Guard, making legal resources available to them, supporting the networks that are doing that work in connection with them.
Okay, I have a question for Aaron. Thank you. With the rolling out of California, do you think that will give other Guard members here in Illinois more confidence that if this was proven out in court, that this is illegal, more confidence to use the orders?
I think if we support them, if the governor, this state, this city supports them, even these legal cases on the ground for service members mean so little. That's not who they're seeing when they report to duty, and that's not who they get their orders from. And that's why it's so important that the governor speak to his Guard members, that he lets also Guard members in other states know that we will support them, that Illinois will be a leader in supporting these service members that refuse to comply with illegal orders. I mean, that has to be fundamental. It's just so basic, and yet we have forgotten about the people on the ground. And we're asking people to center these service members and give them educations on their rights. Support them by doing GI rights trainings within the Illinois National Guard. Support them by building up a legal task force around military rights within the state of Illinois. Those are things that we don't have right now, and we are scrapping. The National Lawyers Guild Military Law Task Force is overwhelmed with calls from individuals on the ground, but they're just a small organization. We are overwhelmed with the number of service members that are concerned about these orders, but we are just a small organization. We're asking for our broader community to step up and support these service members in complying and exercising their rights. I don't have those numbers to report. I just know that both the GI Rights Hotline and the Military Law Task Force, from all reports we've gotten, have been overwhelmed with
They said it's watermelon
correspondences.
lemonade, but it don't taste like watermelon lemonade.
Yeah.
It just tastes
I want to add, again, I can't speak to specific numbers of COs. I would recommend contacting the Center on Conscience and War, based out of Washington, D.C. But conscientious objection is just one, and perhaps even the smallest form that resistance takes. And so that needs to be kept in mind. These members of these Guard units, other military members, there's other way that they can withdraw their participation. We heard of Guard members maybe taking an extra long time in the bathroom, maybe every hour, maybe multiple times an hour. There's ways that people who are in uniform can withdraw their consent and participation, and they need support for the spectrum of resistance.
Now they doing all that when they could just encourage people to get their citizenship and help them with that?
So the question for people that couldn't hear was what the consequences are if somebody is to follow an unlawful order. And really, that depends on the order. It depends on the specific circumstances. There are cases, as Aaron referenced, where people have been tried for committing war crimes. And the fact that they were following orders was not a defense.
Order, bro. Be honest.
In this circumstance, we don't know what exact orders people are going to be receiving. We don't know what form that resistance will look like, what refusal those orders might look like. So the exact consequences is hard to predict. There's no way to really say that clearly. But as it's been raised here, the consequences go beyond just the legal consequences. There's legal consequences for the state, for the federal agencies, and there are legal consequences for the individual service members. But I would really, again, lift up the voices of veterans who have made choices, who have followed orders that they've then spent years, and in some circumstances, decades regretting, where service members have just followed orders and now decades later dealt with those consequences on their own psyche, their own mental health, their own everyday lives. And again, if troops come to the city of Chicago and people are following those orders, this is going to have devastating consequences of us having the thought of having MRAPs and tanks and assault rifles, armed, uniformed soldiers parading through these streets is going to have serious consequences. So it's important to think through not just the legal consequences, but all the consequences that could result
every weekend
by Trump's actions, and both the positive and negative impacts that service members can take, because each and every service member has a choice about what they do.
I just want to add, historically, the individuals that overwhelmingly are prosecuted are enlisted, lower enlisted service members. It's not officers, it's not generals, and it's not governors and presidents. It is the individuals on the ground that end up in prison for following orders that are illegal, unjust. And we're asking for leadership to change that. We're asking our governor to stand up and take a lead in protecting service members and encouraging them to follow the law as he has declared it. That's what we're asking.
And to repeat the question for people who couldn't hear, the flip side of the question of what are the consequences for people who are refusing orders that could be unlawful.
Yeah,
so it really, again, depends. It really is hard to predict, and it's impossible to predict, frankly. What could happen is people can face charges under the military law and can face court-martial for refusing an order. That's possible. It's also possible that people can refuse orders and not be charged. And again, I believe what the service members and veterans of About Face are calling on the governor to say, do everything within your legal political power to support those people who may be refusing orders, to prevent the possibility of those people facing legal consequences there. But there is always a defense if somebody is being charged, if their actions were in fact lawful. So that is what's important to keep in mind, that if there's an unlawful order and somebody resists that unlawful order, that gives them a defense. The law is their defense under that circumstance. And no guarantees can be promised as to what comes out of that, but that gives them a defense should that come to be.
And it's also up to the community to support these courageous service people who disobey illegal orders. And that's why it's important for people to come out if our city is invaded by illegal orders issued by the president, to come here, to come out on the day that they are deployed, 5 p.m., right here at Federal Plaza, If the deployment is after 3 p.m., then we will be here at 5 p.m. the day after. It's the duty not just of the governor, not just of other politicals, but also our community to reach out, to speak to those service members and say, we have your back if you do not follow illegal, unconstitutional orders. That's our duty as Chicagoans.
You going to jail, they going to jail too, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Are there any, or I should mention, we have people who will do one-on-one interviews, our vets and our attorneys, if they want to do a stand-up. We still have a person here who fortunately speaks Spanish, unlike me, and Noticias, we got your back. Okay, thank you very much for coming out, and we really appreciate your sharing this coverage. Thank you.
Okay, hold on.
A few minutes.
All right, let me see if I can share my screen. Screen layout. That didn't explain it. What? Okay, hold on. Yeah, they stuck here lying to like that. I'm not feeling at all. They stuck here lying to these troops, telling them, "Oh, you can go hide in the bathroom. You can malinger, right? You can go to, bro." Hold on 1 minute. Malingering is a crime. Pretending to be working when you're not. Hold on 1 minute. Hey, Papa. All right, let's pause that for a second. Okay. Okay, let me see. No. I'm gonna have to do this another day. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's go. Let's go here, bro. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
Court orders, Senator. The entire administration will follow court orders. The problem.
All right. Let me see. To press Trump to send guards to my only concern with him doing this, and you're lying. Okay, so I'm gonna pause, stop sharing for a second. Let's go back over here. I'm gonna pause that for a minute. Okay, so my only concern is if the POTUS has troops in DC, troops in Chicago, troops in California. I mean, we have other branches, and he's using the National Guard. The National Guard. Let's see. I don't want to speculate, y'all. I want to educate. I want to tell y'all. Okay, what does all right? The National Guard serves a dual mission of supporting their state and the nation by responding to domestic emergencies like national disasters and civil unrest, while also deploying overseas to support military operations in times of conflict. Members are part time. Now, this is funny. This is why you got to be careful about the people that you listen to. Lawyers literally came on and told military members that it is okay to malinger. Okay. If y'all don't know what malingering is, malingering. Oh, let me go back. Here we go. Malingering. Okay. Malingering is the intentional exaggeration or fabrication of physical or psychological symptoms to avoid military duty or obtain other benefits. It is a serious offense in the military, punishable under the UMC bro, under the UCMJ. Okay? So these lawyers are one, telling the National Guard to not report to duty, telling the National Guard, these were their words. Y'all heard them say it. Oh, spend an extensive amount of time in the bathroom. Okay. Definition and characteristics. Malingering is defined as follows in the UCMJ: feigning illness, physical disablement, mental lapse or derangement, intentionally inflicting injury upon oneself. Common characteristics of malingering include exaggerating or inventing symptoms, inconsistency in symptoms or medical history, resistance to medical examination or treatment, seeking attention or sympathy, and avoiding military responsibilities. Legal consequences. Malingering is a violation of Article 83 of the UCMJ, which states any person who, with intent to avoid or evade military duty, feigns illness, physical disablement, mental lapse, or derangement, or intentionally inflicts injury upon himself shall be punished as prescribed in Section 915 of this title. The punishment for malingering can range from a dishonorable discharge to confinement in prison. The severity of punishment depends on the circumstances of the case, such as the severity of the symptoms and the intent of the malingerer. So they want you to commit a crime to support people that have committed a crime of being here illegally. Make it make sense. To prevent and detect malingering, the military uses a variety of measures, including medical examinations, psychological screenings, drug testing, surveillance, and reporting systems. It is important to note that not all individuals who claim to be ill are malingering. However, if there are signs that an individual may be faking or exaggerating their symptoms, it is essential to report it to the appropriate authorities. Ain't nobody snitching. Conclusion. Malingering is a serious offense in the military that can have significant legal consequences. Y'all, I'm having an allergy attack. I'm sorry. That can have significant legal consequences. It is important to understand the definition, characteristics, and legal implications of malingering to prevent and detect this behavior. All righty then. Members are part-time citizen soldiers or citizen airmen who hold civilian jobs or attend school and are always ready to serve in their local community or answer a federal call to war. State mission, domestic emergencies, natural disasters. The Guard is often the first to respond to national disasters such as hurricanes, wildfires, and floods, engaging in search and rescue efforts. Civilian unrest. They can be called upon to assist in situations of civil unrest or other human-caused disasters within their state. Homeland security. The Guard contributes to Homeland security and border security efforts. This is their job. This is their job, bro. It ain't funny, but you got these lawyers coming on. Oh my God. Telling these people to disobey. Yeah, anyway. Federal mission overseas operations. Wartime comeback. Now look, they just sat up there and said for the governor to make Chicago a sanctuary city. This is what Galvin Newsom did. And guess what? That's why Trump is sending the National Guard to LA. Because it's a sanctuary city. Excuse me, y'all. It says Homeland Security. The Guard contributes to Homeland Security and border security efforts. All right, let's do this. What is wrong, folks? Do not listen to these folks when they get to talking this crap about they can't do this. All these people, when the police pull you over, you can't tell me to get out of my car. Yeah, okay. How about get out your car, do whatever they tell you to do, and then fight them in court if you feel that strongly. But you being on the side of the road, getting boop-bopped upside your head, tased, shot, all that stuff, especially when you're my complexion, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Keep listening to these people tell you what your rights are, right? And get boop-bopped every time. Certain things that work for other people don't work for us. So you do have to use caution, extreme caution, right? Now, I'm telling you, I've had the police pull me over. I've had them draw down on me several times. Got into it with a cop that told me to get on the ground with my military uniform on. Bro, I'm not sitting on nothing. You see these creases in this uniform, partner? You better call for backup. Right? There are certain instances where you do need to pull out a camera phone, and record what's happening. But don't lose your life because these folks is telling you that you got rights, but you staring down the barrel of a gun right now. Don't do it. Okay, y'all, we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. Homeland Security refers to the United States Department of Homeland Security, a federal executive department responsible for public security, including anti-terrorism, civil defense, border control, cybersecurity, emergency response, and immigration and customs enforcement. So you gonna listen to these folks tell you that the National Guard ain't doing their job and the president don't have the right to call them in? That is their job. Read it. Look it up. Look it up. Read it for yourself. Come on, man. These people want you to commit a crime to protect people that are committing crimes. If that's the case, I might as well run a goddamn Jeep through the prison walls and get out some of them exes of mine. Okay, my bad. I'm just saying. If I'm a free Xavier, bro, I'm about to free Keith and Tyrone, Pookie Duke, all of them. All of them. Some of them are some of my best customers. I mean, clients. I don't know. I'm just saying. Before I go to jail for disobeying a lawful order to free somebody else, bro, I'm going to disobey a lawful order and free my partners. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Tonight's show was Where's the President? Because y'all was talking about he was dead. That was a lie. And then the other one is, should the National Guard be disobeying a lawful order? I'm going to say no. Do your job, bro. Whatever you are called to do your job. These lawyers are not going to bail you out. You heard them say they have limited resources. Now, if you want to go work for them on the side, do your thing. But don't go to jail because these people are trying to use you for their agenda. You got people that's using you for their agenda and you getting paid for it. You got people using you for their agenda and you ain't getting paid for it and you gonna go to jail, my buddy. All right. That concludes our show for tonight. We will be on every Thursday, guys. And I will be doing segments, an hour segment a day. So stay tuned for that. You'll get some DJing from me. I will be doing some recordings. Y'all have a good night. Pillow talking. Pillow talking. Gossip with your friend or even with your man. They say all these bitches do it, these niggas be gossiping. Man, keep it a buck. They gossip more than us. I'll be like, what? Shut the fuck up. Pillow talking. Pillow talking. If you want the tea, if you want the tea, if you want the tea, pull up on the steep. Interviews with MCs, Ops, and SCs. Pillow talking. Hey, pillow talking. Giving game on everything, food to toys. Politics, sex, and who sit on that boy. It might be sad or it might bring you joy. Dating tips, teaching flips, tricks on the beat. Make him bite his lips and give up all his money. Pillow talking. I paid $20 for this. Pillow talking. But I wanted the little container. More. Giveaways, music, tours, movie tickets, raffles, gifts galore. If you want to know what's up from day to day, on the set, in the hood, from LA to the Bay. Gossip and good music, what more can I say? Tune in to Pillow Talk every Thursday. Get your mind right with your girl at night. Serving everything street is DJ Mystique. Pillow talking. Pillow talking. Pillows. All right, y'all. That concludes. Hold on, let me see, because we gonna be playing with me. I might play some videos for y'all. See if all my hours is done. Hold up. They play too much. All right. Let me hit y'all with a video. I need to do a video for Pillow Talk. Little comedy for y'all.